Alex woke up to the sound of his alarm. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a warm glow through the window of his small apartment. He stretched, yawned, and got out of bed. Today was just another day at Linguatech, or so he thought. After a quick shower, Alex dressed in his usual work attire, a pair of jeans and a crisp, white shirt. He grabbed a cup of coffee and a piece of toast before heading out the door. The streets were busy as always, filled with people hurrying to their jobs, students heading to school, and vendors setting up their stalls. Alex joined the flow of people heading towards the metro station. The ride to work was uneventful. Alex read the news on his phone, skimming articles about politics, entertainment, and the latest technological advancements. When the train arrived at his stop, he stepped off and walked the short distance to Linguatech's headquarters, a sleek, modern building made of glass and steel. Inside, the office was already buzzing with activity. Alex greeted his colleagues with a nod as he made his way to his desk. He logged into his computer and started his day by checking his emails. Most were routine messages, but one caught his eye, a report about a strange error in the implant system. Alex frowned and made a note to investigate it later. Later that morning, Alex received a call from a customer service representative. They were reporting an unusual number of complaints about the language implants. People were saying that they suddenly couldn't speak English or any other language the implant was supposed to help with. Alex assured the representative he would look into it and hung up the phone. Curious, he opened the system logs and started reviewing the error reports. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but as he dug deeper, he noticed a pattern. The errors were all related to a specific module in the implant's software. Alex's heart started to race as he realized the potential severity of the problem. He quickly documented his findings and sent an email to his supervisor, requesting a meeting to discuss the issue. He also started running some tests on the system to try and pinpoint the exact cause of the error. By noon, Alex had gathered enough information to feel confident that there was a serious problem with the implant software. He headed to his supervisor's office, knocking on the door before entering. "Come in," his supervisor, Mr. Johnson, called out. "Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson," Alex began. "I've found a significant issue with the implant system. It looks like there's a glitch in the software that's causing users to lose their language abilities." Mr. Johnson sighed. "Alex, we get reports of glitches all the time. Most of them are minor and easily fixed. Are you sure this is something we need to worry about?" "Yes, sir," Alex replied. "I've reviewed the logs and run some tests. This isn't a minor glitch. It's affecting a large number of users, and it's serious." Mr. Johnson frowned. "All right, I'll take a look at your report. But for now, let's not panic. We'll investigate further and see what needs to be done." Alex nodded, though he couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than just a minor issue. He returned to his desk and continued his investigation, determined to find a solution. As the day went on, the number of complaints continued to rise. Alex received multiple calls and emails from customer service, all reporting the same problem: users were losing their ability to communicate. Some couldn't speak English, while others were unable to use their mother tongue. Alex's phone rang again. It was another customer service representative, sounding even more worried than the last. "Alex, we've got a serious problem here. People are saying they can't speak at all. They're scared and angry, and we don't know what to tell them." "I understand," Alex replied, trying to stay calm. "Tell them we're working on it and we'll update them as soon as we have more information." After hanging up, Alex felt a growing sense of urgency. This wasn't just a glitch, it was a full-blown crisis. He needed to find a solution, and fast. Late in the afternoon, Alex decided to take a break and grab a cup of coffee from the office kitchen. As he walked down the hallway, he heard a familiar voice struggling to speak. It was Emily, a colleague from the marketing department. She was talking to another employee, but her words were jumbled and incoherent. "Emily, you all right?" Alex asked, approaching her. Emily turned to him, her eyes wide with fear. I can't speak," she stammered, her voice barely recognizable. Alex's heart sank. Seeing the problem firsthand made it all the more real. He had to find a solution, not just for the users, but for his friends and colleagues as well. "Don't worry, Emily," he said, trying to sound reassuring. "We're going to fix this." Alex returned to his desk with a renewed sense of determination. He would find the cause of the glitch and fix it, no matter what it took. The office had emptied out by the time Alex began his late-night investigation. The quiet was a stark contrast to the chaos of the day. He poured himself another cup of coffee and settled in, determined to uncover the root cause of the malfunction. He started by reviewing the system logs again, focusing on the specific module where the errors seemed to originate. Hours passed as he combed through lines of code, looking for anything out of place. Finally, he found something, a hidden subroutine that appeared to be causing the errors. Alex's eyes widened as he examined the subroutine. It was a piece of code that had been added recently, likely during the latest software update. The subroutine was designed to optimize language processing, but instead, it was causing the implants to malfunction. He quickly documented his findings and sent another email to his supervisor, explaining the severity of the issue. He knew he had to act fast, but he also needed to be thorough. Any mistake could make the problem even worse. As he continued his investigation, Alex stumbled upon internal memos and emails suggesting that the company's executives were aware of the glitch. They had decided to downplay the issue to avoid a public relations disaster, hoping it would resolve itself with minor patches. Alex felt a mix of anger and disappointment. The company's top brass were willing to risk people's ability to communicate just to protect their image. He knew he had to do something, but he wasn't sure who he could trust. The next morning, Alex requested an urgent meeting with Mr. Johnson. He presented his findings, showing the evidence of the hidden subroutine and the internal communications. Mr. Johnson listened but seemed unconvinced. "Alex, I understand your concerns, but we can't jump to conclusions. We need more time to investigate. Mr. Johnson, people are losing their ability to speak. We can't afford to wait," Alex insisted. "I appreciate your dedication, Alex, but we have protocols to follow. I'll escalate this to the higher-ups, but for now, I need you to keep this quiet." Alex left the meeting feeling frustrated and powerless. He had hoped his findings would prompt immediate action, but it seemed the company was more concerned with its reputation than the well-being of its users. Back at his desk, Alex struggled with his next steps. He knew the right thing to do was to continue pushing for a solution, but he also understood the potential consequences. If he went against the company's orders, he could lose his job, or worse. As the day went on, the reports of communication breakdowns continued to pour in. Alex couldn't stand by and do nothing. He made a decision: he would find a way to fix the glitch, even if it meant risking everything. The glitch continued to spread, affecting more and more users each day. News outlets began reporting on the issue, and social media was flooded with stories of people losing their ability to communicate. Panic was starting to set in as the full extent of the problem became clear. Alex worked tirelessly, trying to find a way to stop the glitch from spreading. He knew he was running out of time. Every minute that passed, more people were losing their ability to speak. As the situation worsened, the public outcry grew louder. People demanded answers from Linguatech, but the company's official statements were vague and unhelpful. The executives continued to downplay the issue, insisting that it was under control. Alex knew better. He saw the error logs and the growing number of complaints. The company was lying, and people were suffering because of it. In an attempt to control the narrative, Linguatech began censoring information and shutting down forums where people were discussing the problem. This only fueled the public's anger and suspicion. Alex felt trapped. He wanted to speak out, but he knew the company would silence him. He needed to find another way to make a difference. Determined to prevent further harm, Alex decided to take drastic action. He spent long nights at the office, working on a plan to shut down the implant network. He knew it would cause chaos, but he believed it was the only way to force the company to address the issue seriously. He made sure to cover his tracks, knowing that if he were caught, the consequences would be severe. But he couldn't let that stop him. Too much was at stake. Finally, Alex was ready. He had prepared everything he needed to initiate the shutdown. He took a deep breath and executed the plan, watching as the implant network went offline. The world would soon feel the impact of his actions. He could only hope that it would be enough to force the company to fix the glitch and restore people's ability to communicate. The shutdown happened swiftly. One moment, people were going about their daily lives, relying on their implants to communicate seamlessly. The next, everything went dark. Conversations stopped mid-sentence, confusion spread, and panic set in. Alex watched the data streams from his desk, monitoring the shutdown's progress. He felt a mix of anxiety and determination. He knew the chaos that would follow, but he also knew it was necessary. The immediate impact was overwhelming. News outlets scrambled to report on the sudden loss of communication. Social media was in disarray, with people posting frantic messages about their inability to speak. Emergency services were inundated with calls from people who couldn't communicate their needs. Hospitals struggled to understand patients, and businesses came to a standstill. The world was plunged into chaos, and Alex knew he was responsible. Governments around the world demanded answers from Linguatech. The company's executives were forced to address the issue publicly. They held emergency press conferences, promising to resolve the problem as quickly as possible. Behind the scenes, Linguatech's engineers worked frantically to understand what had happened. Alex watched the chaos unfold, hoping that his drastic action would force the company to take the necessary steps to fix the glitch. As the shutdown continued, Alex faced significant backlash. His colleagues were furious, and the public was outraged. Many saw him as a villain, blaming him for the chaos and suffering. Despite the backlash, Alex stood firm. He believed he had done the right thing. The shutdown was the only way to force the company to take the issue seriously and prevent further harm. Days passed, and the world continued to struggle without the implants. Communication was difficult, and frustration was high. But Alex held on to the hope that the company would find a solution. Finally, Linguatech announced that they had identified the glitch and were working on a fix. It was a small victory, but it gave Alex a glimmer of hope that his actions would lead to a positive outcome. The shutdown had far-reaching effects. Without the implants, daily life was disrupted on a massive scale. People struggled to communicate basic needs, leading to misunderstandings and conflicts. Public services, businesses, and personal relationships all suffered. Alex felt the weight of the chaos he had caused. He knew it was necessary, but seeing the widespread impact was difficult. He hoped that the temporary suffering would lead to a lasting solution. During the days of the shutdown, Alex had time to reflect on his actions. He thought about the ethical implications of technology and the responsibility that came with creating tools that people relied on. He realized that while technology had the power to enhance lives, it also had the potential to cause great harm. The balance between innovation and safety was delicate, and it was crucial to handle it with care. Inside Linguatech, the pressure to fix the glitch was immense. Engineers and developers worked around the clock, analyzing data and testing solutions. Alex wanted to help, but he knew his position was precarious. He decided to assist secretly, providing anonymous tips and data to his colleagues. He knew they needed all the help they could get to solve the problem quickly. The public's patience was wearing thin. Protests erupted outside Linguateca's headquarters, and calls for accountability grew louder. People demanded answers and solutions. The company's executives faced intense scrutiny. They knew that their reputation was on the line, and they had no choice but to address the issue head-on. The pressure to fix the glitch and restore communication was immense. Despite the chaos and backlash, Alex continued to work behind the scenes. He knew that his actions had caused pain, but he believed it was the right thing to do. He remained focused on the goal, fixing the glitch and restoring communication. He spent long nights analyzing data, looking for patterns and potential solutions. His dedication was unwavering, driven by the knowledge that people's ability to communicate depended on finding a fix. After days of intense work, the engineers at Linguatec made a breakthrough. They identified the exact cause of the glitch and developed a plan to fix it. It was a complex solution, but it was the first glimmer of hope in a difficult situation. Alex felt a surge of relief. The hard work and sacrifice were starting to pay off. There was still a long way to go, but the first step had been taken. The company announced a phased plan to restore the implant network. The plan involved rolling out software updates and conducting rigorous tests to ensure the glitch was fully resolved. Alex monitored the progress closely. He knew that the restoration process would be challenging, but he was hopeful that it would succeed. As the restoration plan began, the world watched with bated breath. People were anxious to regain their communication abilities, but there was also fear that the fix might not work. Alex shared in the tension. He had put everything on the line to force this resolution, and he hoped that it would be enough. The initial phases of the restoration showed promise. Some users regained their language abilities, and the reports of communication failures began to decrease. It was a positive sign, but there were still challenges to overcome. Alex continued to support the effort, providing data and insights to help refine the solution. The progress was slow but steady, and he remained cautiously optimistic. As more people regained their ability to communicate, Alex felt a sense of relief. The world was beginning to recover from the chaos, and his actions had made a difference. He knew there was still work to be done, but the worst of the crisis seemed to be over. The experience had changed him, making him more aware of the impact and responsibility of his work. The restoration process required global coordination. Governments, organizations, and Linguatec worked together to manage the rollout and support affected users. It was a monumental effort, but it was necessary to restore order. Alex played a crucial role in this effort, using his expertise to help coordinate the technical aspects of the restoration. He was proud to be part of the solution. Gradually, people began to regain their language abilities. The reports of communication failures dwindled, and normalcy started to return. It was a slow process, but it was moving in the right direction. Alex felt a sense of accomplishment as he saw the positive impact of the restoration. He knew there were still challenges ahead, but the progress was encouraging. The public's reaction to the restoration was mixed. Some people praised Linguatec for fixing the problem, while others criticized the company for allowing the glitch to happen in the first place. There was also a growing conversation about the ethics of relying so heavily on technology. Alex understood the mixed feelings. He had seen the best and worst of the situation and knew that the company had a lot to learn from the experience. As the crisis began to subside, Alex took time to reflect on the past weeks. He thought about the decisions he had made, the impact of his actions, and the lessons learned. It had been a difficult journey, but he believed it had been worth it. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, driven by the knowledge that his work could make a difference. He was committed to ensuring that such a crisis would never happen again. Despite the overall success of the restoration, there were still individuals who struggled with the aftermath of the glitch. Some people had difficulty fully regaining their language abilities, and the psychological impact of the crisis was significant. Alex knew that the recovery would take time and that ongoing support was essential. He was determined to help in any way he could, using his expertise to assist those who needed it most. In the wake of the crisis, governments and independent bodies launched investigations into the malfunction and the company's handling of the situation. There was a strong demand for accountability and transparency. Alex cooperated with the investigations, providing information and insights into what had happened. He believed that understanding the root causes was essential to preventing future crises. Linguatech underwent a major overhaul. The company's leadership was reshuffled, and new safety protocols were implemented. There was a strong focus on transparency and ethical practices. Alex welcomed the changes. He had seen firsthand the consequences of prioritizing profits over safety and was glad to see the company taking steps to improve. The company issued a public apology, acknowledging the mistakes that had been made and promising to do better. It was a difficult but necessary step in rebuilding trust with the public. Alex felt a sense of closure as he watched the apology. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was a start. He hoped that the company would follow through on its promises. Alex faced an uncertain future within the company. His actions had made him both a hero and a controversial figure. Some people saw him as a whistleblower who had done the right thing, while others viewed him as a troublemaker. Despite the uncertainty, Alex remained committed to his work. He believed in the potential of technology to improve lives, but he also knew that it needed to be handled with care. The crisis sparked a global debate about the ethical use of technology. People began to question the wisdom of relying so heavily on implants and other technological enhancements. There was a growing movement advocating for more balanced approaches. Alex became an active participant in the debate, sharing his experiences and insights. He believed that technology could be a force for good, but only if it was used responsibly. In the aftermath of the crisis, society began to rethink its reliance on technology. There was a renewed focus on traditional learning methods and a push for more balanced approaches. Alex was encouraged by the changes. He believed that the crisis had been a wake-up call, prompting people to reconsider their relationship with technology. Alex became an advocate for ethical technology use. He spoke at conferences, wrote articles, and participated in discussions about the lessons learned from the crisis. He was determined to ensure that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. His advocacy work gave him a sense of purpose and fulfillment. He was proud to be making a difference and helping to shape a better future. The experiences of the past weeks had changed Alex. He had grown both personally and professionally, gaining a deeper understanding of the impact of his work. He was more aware of the responsibilities that came with creating and managing technology. He felt a renewed sense of commitment to his work and a desire to continue making a positive impact. As society began to heal and rebuild, there was a sense of cautious optimism. People were taking steps to ensure that such a crisis would never happen again. There was a focus on ethical practices, transparency, and the responsible use of technology. Alex looked forward to the future with hope. He believed that the lessons learned from the crisis would lead to a better, more balanced approach to technology. The story ended on a note of cautious optimism. Society was striving to find a balance between technological advancement and ethical responsibility. There was hope for a future where technology could enhance lives without compromising safety and integrity. Alex felt a sense of fulfillment as he reflected on the journey. It had been a difficult road, but he believed that the crisis had ultimately led to positive change. He was ready to continue his work, driven by the knowledge that his efforts could make a difference.